Hello, everybody. It's been a while. It's been a bit of a minute. Been a hot minute. But this is not a full episode. This is just a bit of a quickie because I'm staying over at Rob's this weekend. This is your host Sam, in case anyone doesn't recognize my dulcet tones. But I'm staying with Rob and his brother, who are both very dear friends of mine, and we finally went and saw Endgame. We only got back a couple of hours ago, and fuck, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about it. Yeah. Now,
spoilers ahead.
Yeah, first things first. This is a full discussion of our thoughts of the movie and the events in it, so this is spoilers. We are not being safe here. We are not going to just go general. Like, if you want the most general thing, did you like the movie, Rob?
Yeah.
Did you like the movie, Andrew?
Alright.
I like the movie as well. So, there. We like the movie. If you've enjoyed the Marvel movies, do we all recommend you go see it?
Yeah.
Yeah? So, there we go. You recommend go see it. So, from this point on, we are talking our thoughts on this movie, and there are spoilers ahead. So, this is your final countdown warning, because you're getting a spoiler in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tony Stark is dead!
You said it wrong.
No, you said it wrong.
I said to say Tony died.
The Hulk is handsome.
The Hulk is handsome. Okay, so, oh my god, this fucking movie. Jesus Christ. Alright, so first of all, I want to say this. I think they did a really good job advertising the movie, in the sense of almost all the footage we saw for this movie is from the first third. Like, there's basically, I think, pretty much only like shots of characters like doing a sort of reaction face are taken from any later in the movie.
Because, like, the bulk of the story is not even touched on in that trailer.
No, it's not.
Like, all you see is the suits and them in a ship.
Yeah.
That's not in the right order, but that they showed in the trailer.
No.
Because I thought, it's going to be a big space battle. No.
There's not a lot I call it. Like, I'm terrible at guessing the plots of movies in general, or thinking where a movie's actually going to go. But even then, there's pretty much only one thing I called in this movie, which is, and this was based off this one scene from the trailers, which is when you see Hawkeye in the trailers. I guessed his family were snapped in Infinity War, and I was right. And like, that's literally the movie opens with Hawkeye is having fun with his daughter. They're about to have a barbecue, and they're talking mustard and mayo on hot dogs, and then they're all
mayo
gone.
on a hot dog?
You know, I'm a mayo defender, but yeah, mayo on a hot dog, no, that's not a thing. You don't know. Andrew?
That's a dip.
Yeah, no.
It's a dip. It's not a...
No, it can go on a sandwich. It can, but it is best as a dip. Sparingly. But it doesn't go in a hot dog.
Yeah.
No, not in a hot dog. I will side with you on that. But enough hot dog discussion. Oh, fuck. Where do you want to start with this? There's so much about this movie.
I suppose the bit that kind of had you reeling a bit was...
Which bit?
When they confront Thanos. The first time.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's because this caught me so fucking off guard, which is the first confrontation with Thanos is in the first, what was it, 15 minutes?
About 20. They're about
Within that time period, yeah.
Which?
Yeah, within that time period.
Yeah, within that
like,
time period.
The first half hour at least.
Like, in no time at all, basically the movie opens and Tony is brought back because he encounters Captain Marvel. Nebula's with him as well. Yeah. So you got the whole crew back. Tony's not in a good mood.
He's basically running off of what little nutrition he had before they left.
But even aside from that, he is just so pissed at all the events that led to them being so separated, because as far as he's concerned, that's why they lost.
He really wails into Cap.
Oh, he
kind of has to just kind of get everything off his chest and just say, "You weren't there for me.
But
you said you would be there for me, and then you weren't. I lost the kid."
Yeah, like Tony is really.
Answer my letters, man. On the kneel. I said flowers.
But almost immediately after that, then you have Nebula is able to figure out
Nebula and Rocket. They help figure out where exactly Thanos went.
Yeah.
They pull out the ship. Then everyone who's there.
Basically, everyone who's left bar Tony because he's not fit for it. So you got Marvel, Nebula, Thor, Banner, Captain America, and Rocket. I think that's everyone. All go off, find Thanos, who is literally, when we catch up with Thanos, he's picking his vegetables to make dinner.
He's just making stew, man.
He's just making stew.
He's having a happy little retirement in his farm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then cut to, everyone bursts in, attacks him.
Captain Marvel just wails it, like, fucking Kamehamehas him through the fucking floor.
Thor jumps in, cuts his fucking arm off with the gauntlet, and surprise, the stones are gone. Because he's destroyed them.
Just gone.
Just gone. And then this all caps off with, they kill him. Thor just straight up murders him.
He went for the head.
He goes for the head. And I was just left there like,
Okay.
huh.
Where's the plot?
Yeah, that didn't take long. and it shocked me even more, 5 years later.
Yeah.
What?
This movie, oh god, what happens in those 5 years? Oh god.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack there. So
Cap goes to
Cap,
a self-help group.
but he runs it, doesn't he? That was
Yeah,
the
Yeah, he pretty much runs it.
Yeah, he runs basically a self-help group for people who are suffering trauma from the snap. Like Black Widow is basically holding the shell of the Avengers together. Basically,
She's in Nick Fury's seat and kind of going bonkers.
yeah, she's kind of not okay. Hawkeye has gone full Punisher because basically, as far as he's concerned, any criminals who survived the snap didn't deserve to.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the guy who probably is in the worst condition, but fuck me, did it have us laughing.
Thor has a beer gut.
Oh, Thor has a
God
beer
damn.
gut. He has hair longer than he's ever had. He has I can't, he's literally the dude. He's the dude straight out of Big Lebowski, except not okay.
I'm fine. I've no problems at all. I'm completely fine.
So-
Look, see, I've got beer.
Yeah, he's just living in this little fishing hamlet in Norway, which is all that remains of the Asgardians. It's literally been renamed New Asgard. And Thor lives in a house with Korg and Meek, just constantly playing video games, watching TV, and drinking themselves into a stupor.
Specifically Fortnite.
Specifically, we see Korg playing Fortnite.
Which is
I have to wonder, how much did they pay
it's
to have
unrealistic.
that in the fucking movie?
That killed the movie. It ruined the star.
Yeah, you pointed this out when we were coming out.
Is that why they got to make the Thanos event happen again in Fortnite? 'Cause apparently that's the thing that happened.
Oh, is it happening
Probably.
again?
Yeah,
they did,
except
yeah.
they expanded it a bit more.
They
But,
probably did, yeah, because you pointed this out, Andrew, that the most unrealistic thing in the movie is this takes place 5 years from now. We're expecting Fortnite to still be relevant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's almost like as if I wanted to say that.
Sorry, dude. I didn't know if you were going to get there.
I was going to say it, then I got interrupted.
Please
Well-
say it. Do it. Do
No,
it now.
no, it's over.
Okay, that's
You
fair.
ruined the podcast. It's over.
All right, goodbye, everybody. No,
It's
never.
over.
But oh god, that scene had I don't know if I don't know what other people think of that. I don't know if some people maybe found it weird or even cringy. I thought it was hilarious.
It was funny at first, and then you kind of once the joke gets through, they do let it become a bit sad because the other guy who went through a fucking huge change in the 5 years, but strangely a positive
Oh,
one.
for the better. Yeah, sorry. How did I miss this? Is Bruce Banner is now. If anyone's familiar with the concept of the Professor in the comics, that's what he is. Banner has basically become one with the Hulk, and he is permanently in Hulk form, but he has his own mind.
So he's had the best of both worlds. He's one of the ones that goes to talk to Thor.
Yeah.
And
But after Ragnarok,
he
he's one of the closest ones.
mentions Thanos, and instantly Thor's face just drops, and he just says, "Don't say that."
Yeah,
name."
Thor is basically just going through severe PTSD because, as far as he's so many of the characters are like this, where it's they're concerned that the event's their fault because they didn't do X. And then
survivor's guilt.
Yeah, it's survivor's guilt. And in Thor's case, it's because he didn't kill Thanos stone dead before the snap.
didn't do it quick enough.
Didn't do it quick enough. He didn't go for the heads.
So, yeah. And
It's oh god, it was so much in this movie. I feel like I keep saying that, but I'm trying to track my thoughts on what to talk about next, and it's like it's any number of things I could talk about.
it's so weird that Rocket is the one who seems to have most of the right things to say to these very broken people.
I think it's
like,
yeah.
He convinces Thor to come with them because we got beer on the ship.
Yeah.
What kind of beer?
What kind of beer?
And it just cuts to them back at Avengers HQ.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to think what else. Alright, actually, I'm going to talk a bit more generally for a minute. Because you brought up a point that I'm curious. What did you two think of... Because this is something I'd heard a few people talk about. That this movie starts off, especially, really somber. Like, really, really somber. Which is fitting.
Yeah.
But did you feel at any points that... Because it's a Marvel movie, there's going to be some quirks, there's going to be some quips, there's going to be some humor. Did you ever feel the more somber or serious moments were ruined by quips or quirks or anything like that?
I didn't notice anything. Nothing that stood out to me that's like, oh God, why did you say that there? I don't know. I think they paced it out well enough. Where they let the sad and emotional bits sit, and then like when it was appropriate, a joke would come along or someone would say something just like. Okay.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew?
Oh yeah, it was fine. Like the first act just set up everything with the somber tone and giving them all the reason to get together to basically make what is a heist movie. This is a heist movie.
That's a great... It is a heist movie.
Because you've got your entire team, they have their set skills, they're going out to get their things. It's a fucking heist.
You're absolutely right. I hadn't thought of it like that, but you're absolutely right. Film. It is a heist film.
Despite the fact that they kept calling it a time heist.
Shut up, Rob.
They literally had Ant-Man there, giving the plan.
That doesn't mean it's necessarily a heist. Civil War wasn't a heist, was it? Was Civil War a heist?
It wasn't a heist.
Okay, yeah. See, Ant-Man was in Civil War. Just because Ant-Man's there doesn't mean
but
it's
it was
a heist.
Ant-Man's plan.
They
oh, okay.
Like,
that's
said, like, Tony jokingly said that what you keep calling a time heist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah.
No, but you're right.
But like you get like kind of like weirdly 3 different types of situations with this movie. You get the post 9/11 drama movie.
Yeah.
Then
basically.
you get the Ocean's 11, but with superheroes, and then you get smack your action figures together.
I would honestly,
which is like kind of the only big criticism is like. Again, with almost every single Marvel film, the big action set piece at the end is the weakest part of the movie.
The big
you
CG
so?
fest.
It is.
I mean,
I don't know if
there are set pieces in it,
but that are great.
Overall, it is just a big fucking mess of CG. That's probably that's probably the only thing. That's probably the only thing, but it's basically okay. Let me finish it. Like, the whole, like, all the characters come together, everyone has the hoorah moment.
It really is, and I have to emphasize.
That is great, but then right after that, when everything clashes, it just becomes a clusterfuck until they narrow it down to the main guys.
That's true, yeah. That's true.
Basically, that all sets up, and then you go... Then they all start running to each other, and then you go,
what's happening?
Oh no, we have to deal with so much right now.
There is a lot. Like, and it really is, like, any character that's still alive, or is even brought back, because, they undo the snap, eventually, and that's before the big battle scene, and it's like, we are literally pulling in everybody. Like, there are characters I haven't thought about in years that have showed up.
It put a smile on my face.
And even some characters who I didn't expect to show up to fight showed up, and I was really okay with it. Like, Pepper Potts shows up in her own fucking Iron Man suit, and like,
which was set up.
Yeah,
it's neat that they set that up at
the
start.
They did hint at it at the start.
Yeah.
That was really cool. What else to talk about? Okay. T'Challa's back. Shuri's back. Doctor Strange is back. Fucking what's her name? Scarlet Witch. Yeah, Scarlet Witch is back, and they do credit to them.
The Guardians all come back and it's great.
Fuck Quill.
Yeah.
Aw.
No. This is one of the things I'm curious about in later Guardian movies. Is like
I get
why there's almost no Quill in this movie, because he's not brought back till near the end, and you're not going to have time to give him anything.
But hey, at least he does get some comeuppance.
He does a little, which was nice, because yeah, that was at least satisfying. That was satisfying.
It was cathartic.
They need to fight with knives, though.
Yes, with knives.
Oh yes, please.
But yeah, the thing that I did notice eventually was like, oh yeah, so that's the big theme.
Which?
Of the movie. The big theme is legacy and what do you do to change the world.
Yeah, that is
if
very
you
much
pay,
is.
like literally, that's everywhere.
Yeah, no, you're right.
In the entirety of the movie.
Yeah, not
literally when they're
not
going
even
through
just
time,
Thanos. Yeah,
you see so many different characters who were mentor figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Or inspirations for people.
Yeah.
Literally, you see them all at the time. You see the previous Sorcerer Supreme. You see
Howard Stark. Yeah.
You see friggin' Hank Pym when he's doing his.
Yeah, you see Hank
Thor's
Pym.
mom.
You see.
Oh yeah, Thor. You see Thor's mom Freya. You see Agent Carter.
You see friggin' like.
And most of them like.
And to an extent, Tony having a kid. Basically, at the start, which is like again the emotional manipulation thing of like, oh, see, he's got a kid now. It's really sad when he dies.
I thought it was well done.
I know it's well done.
I normally hate
I know,
that
but that's
kind of
like it's sort of it's not just that.
Yeah.
It's sort of a case like, oh, see, this is what he leaves behind.
Yeah.
What Thanos leaves behind is literally what happens when he dies. It's just dust. There's nothing.
Yeah.
He leaves nothing.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because he doesn't make anything. He just destroys something.
Well,
he spent his life thinking he was going to make something better. But really, he just left destruction. That's his legacy.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to look at it. That's
like the one thing he did love was Gamora, who he killed in the last movie. Like literally, hit his own child. He threw her away. He literally threw her away for his goals.
That is something I think we should talk a bit about, which is
that moment, the fight for suicide.
Not even just that. Okay, I want to talk a bit about the main deaths in the film, because there's a few.
You've heard one.
You've heard one, yeah. Tony dies, and we will talk more about that. We're not just going to leave it at that, because it's a big moment, and it's very well done. Like I was in tears with it. I really was.
It wasn't that exact moment that had me in tears.
No, me neither.
The following bit.
It was the following bits for me too. I think a good way to start with it is. I'm just going to keeping a note next to me for reference of something else I want to bring up. But, okay, the first major death of any of the main characters we know is when everyone goes off in different time periods to find the different stones they need. Hawkeye and Black Widow both go off to get the Soul Stone. Now, if you remember, the Soul Stone was the one that required Thanos to throw Gamora off and kill her in order to get it. So they get there, and they get the same spiel of one of you must... You must sacrifice something you love.
A soul for a soul.
A soul for a soul. So they start, like Hawkeye and Black Widow start debating about who should jump. Now, I was really worried at first that they were going to do that Hawkeye is so distraught over losing his family that he must see them again, so he wants to throw her off.
Because he's lost everything else.
Because he has lost it. But thankfully, they don't do that at least. They both think... I should do it.
We both know who has to go. Yeah. We're thinking about different people, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bit of a kerfuffle between them of Hawkeye wants to jump because of the horrible things he's done. Black Widow's like, no, you have a family. And this culminates in a bit of squabbling. Hawkeye jumps off, barely is stopped, and then through the events of that, Nat ends up falling. Black Widow dies. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that she died. I thought that was a weak end to that character.
Because, she never really had her moment.
No, and I know there is talk of there's going to be a Black Widow movie, but it's going to be a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't care as much about that, at least. I would have loved to see a standalone for her in the current era. Yeah. And we're not going to get that now, and that really...
Yeah, but the thing is, they never gave a fuck about her. They never did.
Doesn't this kind of this just cements that, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like there was any attempt to change that. Well,
yeah, you expect them to change?
Oh, I'd like to think they fucking improved Thor and all his characters, which were considered very important.
It's just weird that in the same movie that throws away the first female Avenger is also the one that then has the one scene of girl power, because they have
because there's a big moment of all the major female Marvel stars all line up at one stage, and they're a big portion of the battle. Yeah, there is that kind of weird feeling. Sorry?
Minus Black Widow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah,
So
no, it's...
Black Widow.
But... And this is further cemented of after Tony dies at the end, the big dramatic emotional ending scene, which this had me in tears, is there's a really, really nice funeral held for Tony. And it's all the characters lining up, everyone's there, everyone who's been gone, everyone who's returned.
They're all in black tie except for Groot, who's animated, which completely destroys the tone. You just see this sad tree, and you're like, all right, yeah, comic books.
That didn't cross my
Sad
mind
tree.
once.
I know, but that's just me. Kind of just reveling in the ridiculousness of there's a tree mourning a man who dressed up as an action figure dying. You just see this tree and Mantis, who I don't think quite fully understood the situation she was in, just there.
Oh, but she could sense everyone's feelings of sadness.
She could sense the feelings, but she didn't.
The crux this comes to, and one of you summed it up perfectly on the way here. Yeah, go for it.
It was like, we have this big emotional, sad funeral for Tony, and everyone's there. We're all reflecting. We get this big speech from Tony. We get all these reminders of how great Tony was. Black Widow's, Black Widow said, what do you do? I will throw this chair really far. So, I mean, it's Hulk. He's going to throw that chair. And we don't know where it landed. It probably killed a gopher. That gopher's dead because Black Widow died.
Yeah, and
that's 2 deaths.
I have to admit,
Thanos
is
is awful.
It feels like the funeral for Tony.
That gopher had a family.
It feels like the funeral for Tony should have included some. It should have been for both of them, essentially. These are the Avengers that fell.
Yeah.
And there was our regular co-host on the show, Dan. I was messaging him about it because he saw it well before me, and he was saying one of the things that he loved Endgame, but one of his complaints was that he actually felt there were 1 or 2 points where maybe someone else should have gotten the axe because of just kind of the situation. One of the big ones he pointed out being that when the Avengers undo the snap, Thanos from an alternate time appears and attacks them, and he just immediately bombards the base, and no one dies in that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a fair point, that maybe in a situation like that, maybe or at least someone should have maybe gotten a bit more hurt, because no one was really that scathed by it.
Like in that scene, that like everyone, people recovering, there's.
In fairness, I missed a wee bit of this because this is where I had to go take a toilet break. I don't have a 3-hour bladder.
Yeah, the scene right after the big explosion is Hulk holding up debris that's barely about to like kill Rhodey and has pinned Rocket. So Rhodey has to crawl out of his broken body out of the War Machine armor, pry open the rubble that's holding down Rocket, and then they have to try and get away before Hulk basically gets crushed underneath the rubble. Meanwhile, Ant-Man is running around doing his thing, trying to find them. And
then when he finds them, he enlarges and gets them out.
While Hawkeye has the
Hawkeye,
the proto Infinity Gauntlet, and he's trying to get away from
Thanos' goons. Yeah, which that was entertaining. And Dan also shared the same point that we were just talking about with basically Black Widow not getting a proper send off in the sense, which I do think is it's a nag. It is. It's something that is going to nag at the back of my head a bit. And I know my sister also went to see Infinity War, and she was talking to me not Infinity War, Endgame. And she was also saying to me a bit about she liked it, but she had some big problems with it. Mm. I know that will have been one of them, because she liked Black Widow. She wanted to see more of her, and also one of her least favorite things in Infinity War was how Gamora was killed off, which was in the exact same way. Yeah, so I know rightly well that will have been something that really fucking annoyed her in this.
We have old Gamora, the one before all that character development that made her really nice.
Yeah.
Now she's just Gamora, bitch.
I get they didn't have another way to write Gamora in, but I liked Gamora a lot in Guardians 1 and 2, and the fact that I've basically got a reset Gamora that's also a little, that bums me out a bit. That does bum me out.
Which is part of the reason why I wasn't invested in Thanos in the end. It's like, you're just there to be the big bad. You're not the Thanos we saw from the previous movie.
I got a bit of that as well.
That's the thing. It's like, again, that's another weak aspect. Like, the movie is great. It's got all these great moments, but at the end, you're like, in the finale, you're like, this is not the Thanos we saw in the finale of the last movie.
No, you're right.
No, this isn't. This is just a big again, I'm not going to use the whole cluster of CG. It's more just, I don't think it's CG. It's just, they're just things smashing against each other.
No, it's
we
an
don't
obstacle.
even
It's
see,
an obstacle.
We don't even see. We see like the bad guys dying, but we don't see anything. Like we don't even get like a oh no, random Wakandan soldier dead. Oh no, random wizard man dead. We don't even get ideas that there's casualty on the good guy side. Even random guys.
Yeah,
that would have been a much better thing to do. Like literally give get Mr. I love you, Thanos. I'm going to make I'm going to be able to make that shoosh thing that looks really dramatic at one point. I'm going to make rocks and crush random people. They could have at least given him something like that, or have Thanos, or just have it's like they're about to throw the gauntlet at some random wizard. Like yeah, throw it to me. Then Thanos jumps down, crushes the guy, and looks at them like. No!
Yeah, something like that actually would have been cool.
Stuff like that. Implications of casualties at all on the hero side.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because I think it boils down to... I wonder if it is, and I wasn't thinking this, but the more I think about it, do you think they were almost, because they were doing two major Avenger deaths, that they were almost a bit worried about showing too much loss on the hero side, especially since we saw so much loss in Infinity War already?
I'd say it's like they probably thought we'd be desensitized to it.
Yeah, possibly.
Although it kind of rings hollow.
Oh, the other thing we haven't talked about in terms of a big send-off for one of the characters is Captain America. Because he doesn't die in this, but Steve Rogers has stepped down. Basically, at the end of the movie, I don't know why I'm describing this, because I'm assuming everyone here has seen it, but in case you just want the discussion and you haven't seen it, all the Infinity Stones they took from the past have to be returned. So Steve volunteers to return them. He goes back in time. They try to pull him back, and it doesn't work. And they're like, what the hell? There's a man sitting off near where they're doing it, and turns out it's Steve. He went back to the past. He delivered everything, and then he decided, actually, I want to have what Tony had. Because one of the big points of the movie is during the 5-year gap, Tony actually did get his life together. He started a family with Pepper. He settled down, and he loved his family life. He genuinely did, and Steve wanted that. So
he said Cap said that Tony told him to get a life.
That was it. Tony literally said get a life, and he abided. Which I have to admit, it was a nice send off, and also the big implication is that he's passing the banner of Captain America to Sam, to Falcon, which I loved.
Yeah,
I really loved that
because when he was like, Sam, you're the captain now.
No,
you were like, I'm Captain America.
No, I wasn't.
He is.
No.
You are now Falcon America.
No.
You have your wings.
No, it's not me.
And you're throwing your shield at people.
This is not a self-insert fantasy. Stop that.
It is.
No, it's not.
It's canon.
No.
Make it so.
God damn it. I'm never going to hear the end of that one now. That's
but that's kind of another aspect of that legacy theme, because
yeah, exactly.
Again, you could because it wasn't even a case of he wanted a family. It's just a case of, I guess it's sort of a case of he did his bit. Again, there's also kind of one of the other theme, the hope theme, the fact that the struggle is worth it. Because when you see him dancing at the end with Agent Carter, there's and they kiss, and there's the whole thing. That's basically meant to be their equivalent of Thanos sitting down at the end of the first film.
Yeah.
Where it's basically, for him, when he sits, it's on the last day, he rests. Both of them have their moment of, to an extent, rest.
Yeah.
Thanos rests on his own. Chris
Evans?
Steve...
Oh, so Steve Rogers.
Same person, but... Steve rests with the woman he loves. Not in that way, but probably that way. But the whole thing is that it's just... He gets... So it's basically a case of yes, the struggle was worth it. Hope is always worth fighting for. That's basically what that big manifesto at the end was It's worth it because you get to use the time machine to go to that woman you really liked, and you can start a family.
I have to admit, the one thing how it
always works.
It was a lovely send off, and it was a nice way to end the character. It did feel like a little bit of a plot hole that he was still as he goes back in time, grows old, and he's still in the main timeline. Because I thought the movie established earlier that what would happen is he'd end up essentially in an alternate timeline. Because there's things have been changed, but they seem to imply that by returning the Infinity Stones, there are no other timelines. Or am I misinterpreting that, do you think?
I don't know.
It's either that, or it's implying that there's always been a second Steve just kind of in the background.
Which is possible. I'm not saying that's not possible.
It's I mean...
Now we have to...
But that just raises further questions of, why didn't he say anything about the whole Hydra shenanigans?
Well, you could argue maybe it's part of, you shouldn't interfere with yourself or anything like that. I don't know.
Can we still appreciate that moment? That was clearly a reference to the comic.
Okay. This is something in general I want to talk about, though, because the movie, because they are going back in time with some of the previous events, there's a lot of... This is something I heard a few people complain about, not bitching, as in they sometimes felt it didn't fit as well or made the movie feel too much like set pieces. But because they're going back to, like, some of them go back to the New York attack from the first Avengers, some of them go back to events that link up with the first Guardians and things like that. I'm a sucker for fan service, okay? I enjoyed that, and it didn't feel out of place to me. But aside from that, there was a lot of really, really neat comic book references. Now, I don't follow the Marvel comics that closely. You two follow it way more than me.
I don't even follow it.
Well, no, but you know far more than me at the very least. But even then, there was a few that I got really well. Like, one is when one of the people who goes back to the New York scenario from the first Avengers to get Infinity Stones is Cap. And he goes to get the Scepter. And the Scepter's been taken by a bunch of guys who were Hydra agents that we saw in Winter Soldier. And so he gets it. He gets in the elevator, and immediately it's a bit of a callback to the scene from Winter Soldier where they try to arrest him, because it's that same tension. But then, just as you think that Steve's about to kick their asses again and take it, he just leans into the lead agent and goes, "Hail Hydra!" Just
quite literally, they all exchange looks and just like, "Oh shit, okay, there you go."
Yeah, but it's also a great call to the comics, because as you were talking about, there is a comic series, which was a couple of years ago, where Captain America actually converted to Hydra.
Because of, like, so I think it was like a reality stone.
It was something like that, yeah.
Which is ironic, because that was the stone.
Red Skull pulls some bullshit where it turns out, he was Steve Rogers' family were indebted to Hydra, so Steve's a Hydra plant.
I just remember the fact that became a meme. People would just edit a superhero, another character over Steve in that panel where he says "Hail Hydra."
Oh yeah,
I think one of the best ones was Batman saying "I killed my parents."
I mean, that's what it's the equivalent of. in that sense, it a little bit. But yeah, no. So I loved stuff like that, and I know some people find that kind of fan service a bit graining, or not graining, a bit
cringy?
A bit cringy or just unnecessary. I love it. I enjoy it. I find it fun, and it's the kind of mood that these films have all the time as well. Like, it doesn't feel out of place.
As a send off for everything that's been built up over these last how many years now? 7?
Oh, at least 15 years nearly.
Yeah, it's like. Why not? Why not do this? Because, like, and for some of the characters, it's a chance for a catharsis that they never thought they could have. Like Thor. Thor gets to have one last conversation with his mother before.
Yeah.
He tries so hard to tell her what's going to happen, but she says, "No, that's okay. I accept.
What will happen will happen. I
accept what is going to happen because you're still around. This is going to happen."
Yeah.
I'm happy with this.
Yeah, exactly, which was nice. And you get things like Tony getting to talk with his father again, and discussing parenthood, because at the time they go back to is just before Tony was born. It's really sweet, and I really liked it. And the hug is great. And again, fan servicey, but it's such a nice excuse to get so many characters and actors back for what is the big send off. Even though Phase 3 apparently doesn't end till Far From Home, which I'm finding really, really weird now.
I mean, they did that last time with Spider-Man as well. Remember?
Oh, was Homecoming the end of Phase 2?
No, Phase 2 ending was Ant-Man.
Oh.
So that's actually
okay. So yeah, it seems to be that's just the trend then.
I guess it's like they have like a big thing and then a cool off movie just to kind of we're still going along, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. And also we were mentioning that because we saw again a Far From Home trailer, and we were talking. One of us mentioned that I wonder if Mysterio's whole bit is going to be that he has one of the Infinity Stones,
like he has like the Reality Stone or something.
Yeah.
So it's like these illusions seem very real.
But now, with the ending of Endgame, it seems the Infinity Stones have been completely taken out of the picture.
Which is honestly a good thing.
I think it's a great thing. I'm really happy with
around, them being plot points or anything like that, just kind of muddies the water a bit, because like, how do you go up from that if they're still around? It's like, getting rid of them is like, it's great because, as Thanos even put it, it removes temptation.
Yeah, I
no one is
completely.
then tempted to abuse them for plot.
Muddies the plot like the palette in the final battle.
It was a bit dark, wasn't it?
It was not even that it was dark. It was that the colors
So
there's saturation.
yeah.
Everything becomes gray, blues, and browns.
And
Yeah.
it's
It's a
hard.
shame 'cause
It's like nothing really stood out, which is just bad cinematography. There's no ifs or buts.
No, and
bad.
it's a shame because it's a well choreographed battle. I think.
I think it's also meant to be because like as soon as Tony gets his chance to do the snap.
Finish your thoughts, then we're talking about that.
Like the I think it's like the sun rises, something like that. Like there's the clouds clear.
Yeah.
And it's like it brightens up because like
oh no, you know what
all the darkness is gone.
It's Thanos' ship being destroyed because it's no longer in the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So like as soon as like all of Thanos' like army is swept away, like dusted, it's like suddenly everything is clear. The light comes back, and they get to say their farewell to Tony.
Which this is we're probably not going to talk about too many more things. I think we're hitting on most of the big points and thoughts about it. But I really do want to emphasize that even with some of the issues we've talked about, the ending for Tony is I think it's perfect. I really think it's perfect. Where you get the big moment where Tony he doesn't even steal the gauntlet. He steals all the gems off the gauntlet. And has this wonderful moment of Thanos.
Which could lead to potential people like, yeah, but how does he do that? He
I don't
couldn't have done that in the first movie. Why didn't they do it then? And I'm like, shut the fuck up, it's a movie.
Yeah, I'm
with
like, you on that.
That's the gauntlet that Tony made, so clearly the gems weren't as affixed as they were in the one that Thanos got from the fucking gods.
Yeah. But it's such a nice moment to have. Thanos tries to have his big moment again of I am inevitable, snaps his fingers, nothing happens, only for Tony to turn around and say, well...
She's like, hey, wait a sec.
Oh,
bitch.
Only for Tony to show off the gems, and before he does his snap, what does he say?
I am Iron Man.
Snap. And it's like...
Hey guys, I'm George Lucas. It's me, George Lucas, it rhymes.
It's a
rhyming
book
narrative.
Book ending.
Because that's actually kind of a thing.
What do you mean it rhymes in that sense? Sorry, you mean rhymes between stories?
That's just
I remembered Lucas saying that now.
He writes with rhyme. He structures narratives, ongoing narratives, like making them rhyme. Beats that are similar to each other.
Yeah.
But add thematic depth to it. That's say what you will about the man, but at least he has an interesting philosophy to how narrative works.
Oh, I agree. And then. You know what was the thing I loved the most about Tony's death scene, his last scene, was I thought when Pepper appears, because first it's who comes over to him? Oh, Rhodey comes over to him first, then Peter, then Pepper appears, and they step aside, and I thought it was going to be, and I'm not saying this would have been bad, this would have been typical, Pepper breaks down, she's sobbing, he dies, he just breaks into his chest, and she just collapses into his chest, but no, she actually just gently rests her hand on him and says, "You've done your work. Now you rest." And I was like,
He almost has a smile on his face when she says that. He's like, okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god.
Like,
oh my god.
It's like, yeah, Tony has kind of been the one that's had... He's been put through the ringer.
Tony is definitely, without question, my favorite character in the MCU. Without question.
It's been a roller coaster with him.
It really has. I think he's had such a great arc through the entire series. He's had so many great moments. He's had his ups and his downs. He's not been a perfect character, but he's been a good character. And I wasn't expecting him to die, but like I said, I'm shit at predicting this shit. So there were plenty of people who were absolutely expecting him to die here.
There was death flags.
Yeah, there was. And in flag 1, he has a daughter. That should have been flag 1.
Flag 0, the fact that he wasn't in the freaking Spider-Man trailer.
You pointed that out when we were coming back, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
When you mentioned that, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, god damn it.
Damn it, Nick.
Flag -1, the fact that the previous movie exists and heavily emphasizes him.
I didn't think that was as much an indicator to me, but
there was the whole.
You're better at figuring out films than me anyway. So
I guess there is the whole thing of like Thanos saying that he knows Stark and like I know you because like you're basically me like you're not the only one who was cursed with knowledge, blah, blah, blah. And the whole thing of like, yeah, Tony's been the one who saw this all coming. He's been preparing for this. He's basically been connected to Thanos way back in the first Avengers.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So, yeah, it's and he was technically the first Avenger that we ever saw, because he was the first one that, in the cinematic timeline anyway, is approached.
Yeah, that's true. Which
So-
was, and it's like I think it was you said to me, Rob, when we were on the way back, was, you know, you could consider the start of the Avengers is the moment Tony first said, "I am Iron Man" to all the press, and what's his last line in the entire series? "I am Iron Man."
Yeah.
It's a nice full circle. It's nice coming back around. I think that's most of the points of the film, or most of our thoughts on the major aspects. Is there anything else that I'm missing you can think of? Those are the main things I wanted to talk about, at least. Unless there's any other moments or plot points or character moments that stood out to you.
I like that Thor apparently decides,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? Valkyrie, you get to lead the Asgardians. I'm gonna go hang out with the Guardians.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Because I think I'm done.
Yeah, Thor basically saying, you know what, I'm not a king. It's no point in me trying to keep acting like I am one. Valkyrie, you are now the ruler of Asgard. I'm going to be a new member of the Guardians. I'm like, hell yeah! Fuck yeah, let's get Thor in with the Guardians. I think that'll work really well, especially with James Gunn coming back for the third one.
He still has the beer gut. I wonder if he's gonna work that off though.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
gonna,
wait,
yeah,
yeah,
he's
you
gonna
didn't
train
mention
with
that
Drax.
He didn't mention the big fangasm moment of the film.
Oh, which one?
The friggin'
Oh.
the hammer.
Oh my god, yes! That moment was amazing, which is the big moment in the battle where the hammer rises as Thanos is about to kill Thor, and who's controlling it? Captain America!
Which was like
he is worthy!
And Thor was just like,
finally
I
worked.
knew it! I knew it!
And they're so wonderfully creative with Cap using the hammer and his shield. It's so well done.
Throws the shield, Thanos dodges the shield, throws the hammer, Thanos dodges that. The hammer bounces off the shield and smacks Thanos in the back of the head.
That was so
amazing.
beautiful.
That was
I
so
was like,
good.
Yes!
Yeah, that was
I mean,
just again another really cool fan moment and a great thing to have in what is the last movie as Steve Rogers with Steve Rogers as Captain America. I think it was a lovely send off.
It's a good movie for being the second most that's going to be the second most successful movie this year.
Second?
Everyone knows what the first is.
Oh,
It'll be a gangster's paradise.
it will be a Gangster's Paradise, the most successful movie this year. It'll be a Gangster's Paradise.
We're going to talk about that some other time.
Yeah, oh yeah, that is for another day. That is for another day, my friends. But I think
you're not fast.
No, but thank you for asking. I think the last thing though I want to ask is, this is another thing I saw a few people talking about, because there's some element of, major hype with this movie and everyone going, it's the best comic book movie ever made. I don't think it's the best comic book movie ever made.
No, it's the Spider-Verse for me.
I also, this is one I'm curious of, because this is another thing I saw some people getting out about.
It's kind of like this weird, like, it's also probably, you could say, the thing that makes it really entertaining to watch is what also detracts it from being a great movie, is the fact that it's just one long victory lap, touchdown of, look at all this shit we did, isn't this great? Validating the fans of, like, look, you watched all these movies, isn't that great?
Yeah, it's the finale and epilogue, and that's never going to be the highlight. Or, sorry, not that it's never going to be the highlight, it's never necessarily going to be the best part of the story.
It's not necessarily to an extent, it's not necessarily the most cohesive story. Like, if you just showed us some random fuck, you're going to get a Buckaroo Banzai moment where you're just seeing all this weird shit happening. You're like, what is this? What is this? What is the watermelon? They'll never explain the watermelon.
Yeah, exactly.
They expect you to know what the watermelon is. Yeah. Or is it a coconut? I don't know.
and
watch Buckaroo Banzai. I still need to watch that movie.
And even compared to other Marvel movies, you can't really go into Endgame without having seen Infinity War.
No.
And you can't have seen Infinity War without seeing at least some of the main series. So, like, Endgame and Infinity War, they're kind of a package deal. So
I think so too.
You have to have them both together.
Mm-hmm. And but this is part of the thing, because I know a few people I know were talking about this, and this kind of affected their opinion of the movie. Do you think Endgame's better than Infinity War? 'Cause I don't know.
In pieces, but overall, I think Thanos is a far better character in Infinity War than he was in Endgame.
Yeah, I agree. But again, because this is something I was saying to my sister, when she was talking about it, because she liked it, but I don't think she liked it as much as many others. And for me, the thing I wanted out of Endgame, I didn't need it to be the best movie in the MCU. I didn't even need it to be better than Infinity War. I just needed it to be a satisfying conclusion to this monstrous arc that spanned over 10 years of film and TV. Yeah. And for me, despite my issues, I think it did it.
Like when I sat down and we saw the big Marvel transition screen thing that they always put now, I was just like, yeah, you've
been a hell of a fucking ride, hasn't it?
You made it. You've earned this, Marvel.
Yeah.
But then
Good fucking look, DC.
Yeah,
like
especially
the credits where they decided to have like each of the original Avengers, like when they had their actor things,
like the cast member got their signature on the screen.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like, okay, that's actually a cute little touch.
I thought it was adorable. Yeah, I really liked it.
Like you get to,
but the fact that Robert Downey Jr. gets the last one, and it's like it holds on him the longest.
And there's also kind of an explosion in the background.
Yeah,
it's like
it's just like
it's earned. As far as I'm concerned, it's earned.
I know you both were complaining like, oh, but ScarJo. I was like, yeah, but she was like, it's kind of sad the fact that
she had fun.
She had her fun. But she was never that important. That's kind of like the shitty thing. But at the same time, it's like Robert Downey Jr. literally launched that movie, franchise.
He did.
They didn't have a script in that movie.
Which in Iron Man 1?
In the first Iron Man, they hardly had a script. It was literally Robert Downey Jr. ad-libbing most of his lines.
In hindsight, doesn't that explain so much about how Tony Stark's character evolved?
Yeah.
I mean, he then basically set the model that the comic books had to replicate because, like, his face changed to match Robert Downey Jr. The character shifted a bit. He was still basically a bit more of an eccentric alcoholic, but he became more of a playboy.
Jeff Bridges was the villain in the first one, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Why?
Like, I remember Jeff Bridges was... Like, it was known that Jeff Bridges was so annoyed that there was no script.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, like...
Ironmonger.
Look, I love... Like, and the thing was, like...
Oh, I love Jeff
Originally, his character was meant to live. Believe it or not, they weren't going to kill him off. And then when he found out that they were going to kill him off, he was like...
Kill me.
Oh no! Yeah. He was really sad because he wanted to be.
Wanted to be more. Oh,
he wanted to be in more films. He liked being in a comic book thing. So they kill off Jeff Bridges. It's like, oh no.
That bums me out because I love Jeff Bridges.
They actually originally intended for him to be in more movies.
Oh, that's a shame.
And then they kill off Jeff Bridges. He was this lovely man.
They wasted him in that case.
Yeah.
They killed off the dude.
They killed off the dude. The dude does not abide.
That's shameful.
That is a bit.
In hindsight, that's shameful.
That is.
That's probably that's probably the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem I have with the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. They are very trigger happy when it comes to killing the villains.
Sometimes they've gotten better, and then
they pulled back on it in recent times.
Yeah.
For the first wave.
It's
like villain shows up, villain dies, the end.
I think part of that I think is that just they had to shake off because that was the standard for a comic book movie. Yeah. Your villain doesn't survive.
Actually, most of the time the villain dies. Like if you
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's
like they had to be a contained story, so they had to cap it off.
Yeah.
But then once
you're linking a whole universe of movies together, you don't necessarily need to, and it can feel like there's missing potential sometimes.
Yeah.
At least that's like kind of like the thing. Like that's where you get your Lokis and stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
Probably we might get more things with freaking Birdman.
Oh, Michael Keaton, yeah.
Good old Birdman. He's
Sinister Six. I look forward to seeing what they do.
They did tease that. They teased, Vulture and Scorpion in the prison, so, we'll wait and see. But, I think that pretty much sums up most of our opinions on Endgame. Honestly, it hasn't quite sunk in yet, I don't think.
Weird. I have one criticism.
Oh, what?
Why didn't we get Matthew Murdock there? Running around hitting people with a stick. I want to see just randomly literally
that's strange actually.
That would have been fun. I would have just loved suddenly they throw the Infinity Gauntlet throw it to me. They throw the Infinity Gauntlet. They miss and they're like, well he's blind. It's like no, you just threw it really badly.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny that
it is one of those
the
things
Defenders don't get to show up.
I mean, considering pretty much all their series have been cancelled and abandoned, you know, the Defenders is kind of dead.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
Iron Fist.
Well, in fairness, it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, the quality apparently did go down a fair bit. Like, okay, I never saw Iron Fist. I never saw season 1 Defenders. I never saw second season of Jessica Jones or Luke Cage, and I never saw season 3 of Daredevil.
I think that explains why they all got canceled.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, probably.
You just didn't care enough to watch them.
I think it's just also because Netflix is kind of not as much a thing anymore. It doesn't have as much of a stranglehold as people thought.
Well, like,
I agree with that. But like, there is the idea that some people have that it's cancelled now, but they'll bring it back when Disney start their new streaming service because they are planning a lot of original content for that.
That trips with my father with what's his face, the guy from Fresh Meat, that show. You know him. No idea. The British comedian. He's all like, "Oh, it's me. I'm scared of Mr. Blobby." That guy.
Oh God.
Jack Whitehall. That's it.
Oh.
Jack Whitehall. Trips with my father. Go watch it. It's great. It's his father. He's a conservative.
Is it genuinely good?
It's funny.
I might check it out.
It's literally just
I thought it looked like
backpacking through like Asia and then like Europe.
Yeah.
And like there's 2 seasons of it, and it's completely insane.
Well, there you go. There's a recommendation. And
Jack Whitehall, a completely liberal, weird ass, prissy comedian, and his father, a conservative, old-fashioned, curmudgeon-y man, go on holidays together, and his father's just like, "Jack, you need to be a man," and Jack's like, "Oh, but Dad, I love being funny." and that's what it is.
Since we've kind of gone off the deep end now, I think we'll end it here. That sums up our thoughts on Endgame. I'm still looking forward to more Marvel movies, but I will say Endgame. I'm curious to see if my thoughts develop more because, as I said, it hasn't fully sank in.
I see them pulling back now a bit and kind of taking it easy because they've had their big moments, so now they have to kind of slowly build it up.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see where that goes.
Exactly. So with that, that's see you soon from me, everybody. Hopefully we'll be getting back to the full podcast format at some point in the not too distant future. It's been very hectic on my end, so I apologize for the long delays. But
and the main delay for like the other time was because I was tired.
And in fairness, like, you know, I had a similar thing a couple of weekends ago when I was at a party. So that was when we went out for my birthday, and it's like, you know what? I woke up the next morning and went, you know what? Thank God I didn't say we're going to do a podcast recording because I was wrecked. It would have been a terrible idea. So, all right, that's so long and farewell from me, everybody, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
And Dan says
we're all going to die and life's meaningless.
Dan loves you.
Dan loves you all.
Say you love Dan. Spam the Twitter and say we love you, Dan.
Goodbye.